if I would just take this matter further and then come and address the court on this aspect, my lord, then I would be in a position then to give an answer to what the court is asking me. Because there's just one more further aspect that I would want to take in respect of this statement.
Yeah, okay, fine. You can pursue it as long as you don't forget.
Thank you, my lord.
Right.
Thank you. As it please the court, my lord. Thank you. Now, Brigadier, this statement forming part of the records, the information being said that actually came from Mpegiseni as per your testimony. I had an opportunity to again had a look at the statement, and what struck my mind, or what I was able to identify in the statement on paragraph 3, is that this Mpegiseni himself is not the originator of the information that is contained in here. He himself says, I got this information from one Ntanzi from another Ntanzi. In other words, Mpegiseni himself got this information from a person that he refers to as some other Ntanzi. Do you understand?
I understand, my lord, and I'm not disputing that.
Thank you.
But the fact that I was saying, in this statement, it is clearly explicit by Absalom Zungu that accused 1 and 2 were involved in the killing of Senzo Meyiwa.
Bathi-ke ufakazi malana nodaba lwale statement lesi sakababa uAbsalom Zungu bokubaba kaConstable Zungu ke kukhona la malana no paragraph 3 lapho kubhalwe khona ukuthi uMbhekiseni lo bathi ubaba kaZungu wathola ke ulwazi kuyena ke akuyena umuntu onelungelo mhlawumbe noma oselungelweni lokuthi kade kuye kade akhuluma lo lwazi loluke, kepha ulwazi lolu walithola komunye umuntu bambiza ukuthi uNtanzi, bese ufakazi athi yebo ngiyakuvuma lokho kunjalo, wakhuluma lokho, kepha ke wathi umsola wokuqala futhi nomsola wesibili ke banesandla ekushoneni kukaSenzo Meyiwa.
That is what is contained in the statement, Brigadier. And for you to say that, that is what Mpegiseni is saying, that accused number 1 and 2 were involved in the commission of this offense, is a misnomer, because he says in the statement, I got that information from this other Ntanzi. In other words, the originator or the source of this information, it's not him Mpegiseni, but it is this other Ntanzi.
Bathi yebo lanoma kunjalo ke kepha ukhumbule khona njalo ukuthi uMbhekiseni lo yena ke kuNtanzi ke akuyena umuntu olethe ulwazi malana nodaba lwestatement lesi, kepha ke omunye uNtanzi olethe ulwazi elethela kuMbhekiseni noma etshela uMbhekiseni ulwazi lolokho, bese kuMbhekiseni watshela ke ubaba kaZungu ke lapho kuZungu senior bambiza ngokuthi uZungu senior ukuthi umsola wokuqala futhi umsola wesibili banesandla kulodlana.
No, but my lord, that's not what I said. The person who made a statement to me is Absalom Zungu. The name of Mpegiseni came as to when the question was asked to me whether Mr. Absalom Zungu was the source of this information. And I said, I do recall that there was another person, insofar as I could recall. And that's how we got to Mpegiseni. So there's no assertion from me that I said Mr. Mpegiseni is the source. I said, I remember that there was another person, and we spoke to that person, and that person was not willing to come forward in fearful of his life, my lord.
Athi yebo noma kunjalo kepha ngisakhumbula ukuthi lo mbuzo waqhamuka ngesikhathi kade abuza kubaba kaConstable Zungu ukuthi ngabe uye yini umnini olwazi loluke, bese wathena kubaba kaConstable Zungu cha ke nake umnini othizeni olwazi lolu, kepha ulwazi olwaluzwa ke komunye umuntu kula kwaqhamuka khona ke igama lomlisa othizeni bambiza ukuthi uMbhekiseni Ntanzi.
Now, would you agree with me then that paragraph 3, Mpegiseni, in fact, Absalom Zungu the senior says, Mpegiseni told him that he got this information from another Ntanzi.
ngabe kuvuma yini ukuthi ubaba kaConstable Zungu Absolom Zungu uyena ke wakutshela ukuthi ulwazi lolu wena ke walithola kumbhekiseni intanzi kepha ke umbhekiseni intanzi naye kukhona la wazwa khona ke malana nalolu daba?
Yes, I'm not denying it, my lord.
Thank you.
Athi yebo ngikuphiki ke lokho.
Thank you, my lord. Back to what the court asked me and whether or not this statement should stand. Now, on the trajectory of the information that is narrated in the statement here, it is undoubtedly clear that it is a trail of hearsay. It is a trail of hearsay. So, and hearsay is not admissible, my lord. So, as it is, this statement, it carries no value unless this other Ntanzi can come and testify and say, I am the originator of this information and I'm aware under what circumstances these assertions were made. Then the matter must just die there, my lord. In other words, the statement carries no value with regard to the assertions that are contained in here that accused number 1 and number 2 were involved in the commission of this offense. So it's a trail of hearsay. That would be my submission.
Mr. Baloi, what's your view?
As the court, please, my lord, the court will recall that at the inception of the evidence of Brigadier Gininda, we were at pains to avoid this hearsay evidence. In fact, if I recall, the evidence of Brigadier Gininda was to the effect that he received a report from Mr. Absolom Zungu, because as court officials we are aware that we may not lead hearsay evidence, but my late colleague then went and introduced the hearsay evidence.
There is no value with regard to the assertions that are contained in here that accused number 1 and number 2 were involved in the commission of this offense. So it's a trail of hearsay. That will be my submission.
Mr. Baloi, what's your view?
As the court, please, my lord, the court will recall that at the inception of the evidence of Brigadier Gininda, we were pains to avoid this hearsay evidence. In fact, if I recall, the evidence of Brigadier Gininda was to the effect that he received a report from Mr. Absalom Zungu. Because as court officials, we are aware that we may not lead hearsay evidence, but my late colleague then went and introduced the hearsay evidence, and we cannot stop him. If a party wishes to introduce hearsay evidence, then they must, lie on the bet that they make. And Mr. Mgomezule has introduced hearsay evidence at his own accord, well aware what the legal position is. He must, the defense must therefore, my lord, sleep on the bet that they've made. It cannot be retracted, it's on record. We submit, my lord, that it has to remain on record. The statement is already admitted, despite the fact that it's, as Advocate Misi pointed out, it's triple hearsay evidence. I mean, that's why we didn't call Mr. Zungu Senior to testify, as his evidence, according to Exhibit Triple U, amounts to triple hearsay evidence.
Okay, you have to address me at the end of the case, Mr. Balui and Mr. Nisi, okay?
As it is the court, my lord.
Yeah.
I just pray that I don't forget that.
Hello?
I'm saying I will just pray that I don't forget what the
No,
court
me, I
is.
won't forget.
Yes, my lord. Thank you, my lord.
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, we would not have requested that this statement be retracted, but the information contained therein be disregarded, my lord. It is evidence, of course. It cannot be retracted, but request that the information contained therein, on the basis of the fact that it is inadmissible, it should then be disregarded, my lord. As it please the court, my lord. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mara nodaba lolu statement ke kade yacela ke ummeli wakho ke mnumzana ukuthi inkosi enkantolo ke ingasamukeli statement lesi ngoba ke inkulumo lenkulumo ke statement lesi akuyona ke inkulumo yomuntu lo ibhalile ngaphakathi kwe statement ke kepha ke inkulumo yomuntu ayile komunike umuntu lapho khona kathi ungizwa nje kuphela wenkulumo ke loyo ke kepha icela ukuthi lenkulumo lena inkosi enkantolo engayamukeli njengofakazi bala inkantolo ngoba ke ayinasihlahla noma ayinamsindo malana necala lelenu ke libhekane nalo ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo ke bese ehlangothile lezombuso ke laphendula ke lapho ke malana inkulumo leyo ummeli unayilethile lathi ummeli owaletha ke lenkulumo lena ke futhi nofakazi lobuke ummeli osele washona ongasekho la ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo ke umnumzana uMngomezulu futhi kwamele ukuthi ihlangothi labamelweni ke bese ulale phezulu lombhedo abazibekele wona ke lapho ke futhi washo khona zathi inkulumo istatement lesi sele singaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo futhi sile basamukela lapho njengofakazi baka Triple U.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you, Brigadier. But in any event, my lord, we will come and deal with this point as in our main arguments.
Yeah, quite.
Thank you, my lord. Now, your investigation is at this point, at the point where you already have the statement from Mr. Zungu, the senior, which is fraught with hearsay. And then from there, is there anything or any investigation that happened after the 17th of November 2019, which was to try and find out the authenticity of the information that was contained in this hearsay evidence with regard to the implicit of accused number 1 and number 2 in the commission of the offense? In other words, from the 17th of November 2019, what then happened?
Manje ke udaba afisa ukuthi umelike alwazi ukuthi ngabe mhlawumbe khona ke ukuphenya kwecala mhlawumbe amanye amanyathelo owahamba ngenhloso yokuthi uphenya kwecala ngemuva kwelanga la nge-17 zakaNovemba ngomnyaka ka-2019 ngemuva kokuthi utholakele istatement lesike sakamnumzana u-Absolute Zungu ke ubaba ka-Constable Zungu ke la kade akutshela khona ke malana nongizwa wenkulumo yakhe kade awuzwile.
Yes, my lord, a lot happened. Investigation proceeded from this statement, and as I indicated yesterday and today, that part of the things that was done was to get Bekiseni to corroborate at least that part from Mr. Absalom, which was futile in terms of fearful of his life.
Athi yebo okuningi kwenzeka lapho ke ngemuva kuthathwa athola istatement lesi sakababa ka-Constable Zungu Absolute Zungu ke lapho ke wazama enza ke inhlelo mhlawumbe inzame zokuthi athole ke lo muntu bambiza ngokuthi umbhekiseni Zungu Ntanzi lapho ke ekuthizeni ezazokhuluma ke ngofakazi bakhe ke obuzohambisana nobufakazi bakababa ka-Constable Zungu ke lapho ke kepha wanqaba ukuze yena ke futhi athi uyasaba usabela impilo yakhe.
Cold case analysis, my lord, as I've indicated on them was then done to to get the details, specifics now, and that led to various cases that are referred to in relation to accused number one, which were then assigned. So these were not cases relating to this matter. It was parallel cases that we identified, that were called, and we needed to have them on site. So we embark on the cold case analysis to say, let us identify them on these cases because they were there, pursue them on those cases while then one is embarking on evidence that can be collected in this matter.
Athi lapho khona ke amanye amacala kade akhona ke malana nomsola wokuqala ke angahambisani icala leli esingalo la enkantolo ke namuhla ke kepha kade aqhubeke komnye amacala ke lapho ke ngesikhathi kade kusenza kuphenyo lwabo noma ukusesha kwabo kwecala kulaba bathi khona ke abagxinize kule cala leli ke bese bathola ubufakazi obuhambisanayo noma ubufakazi obukhethekile laba khona ukuthi bamthole khona ke umsola wokuqala.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now, with the further profiling of accused number one, let's now concentrate on accused number one. Because of the information that is contained in this statement by Mr. Zungu, that culminated to the unearthing of the case against him, which was the case of the possession of drugs, not so. If I'm trying to follow what you're saying well.
Mana icala leli namacala amanye la ukhuluma ngawo malana nomsolo oqala ngabe ukhuluma ngecala leli kade khona ke athusa icala malana nokudayisa idakamizwa.
Yes, that you're following me correctly. Yes, it did results to the unearthing of the possession of drugs docket that was already opened in Tembisa, but that case then led to possession of ammunition. But subsequent, or maybe prior to that, it also, the profiling unearthed other 2 cases of attempted murder in forced arrest.
Athi yebo khona ke kunjalo kepha khumule ngesikhathi kade senza ke lo cwaningo lo lokuthi asathola khona ke amanye amacala wakhe ke la kade akuphethe khona ke amabullet futhi namanye amacala kade azama khona ke ukuropa khona kade azama khona ukubulala forced arrest. Lecala leli kade akhuluma ngalo qala leidakamiswa icala sethembisa ke bese amacala amabili okuzama ukubulala kade amacala se-forced arrest.
Yes, that's what was discovered in the cold case analysis. Insofar as accused number one is concerned.
Athi lokho ke sakuthola mana nomsola oqala ngesikhathi kade senza ucwaningo lwethu lwamacala akhe.
Thank you. And eventually that led to a warrant of arrest being applied for, being authorized against him in respect of the drug case, and ultimately to his arrest on the 30th of May 2020, not so.
Lapho ke khona nenza khona ke isicelo sokuthi na ke aboshwe ke umsolo wakhe bese nabhala ke incwadi lapho ke bese bayigunyazisa mhlawumbe bayiletha ngokuthi banikeza imvume ke lapho ke ngenyanga ngelanga la nge-30 zaka May unichiye
2020.
ngomnyaka 2020 lawo boshwa khona ke boshela amacala okudayisa ke idakamizwa.
Correct, my lord, insofar as the possession or the drug dealing charge, the Tembisa 219 case, that warrant was obtained, but prior to that, there was already a warrant of arrest sitting in one of the documents. in other words, available, which was not executed in one of the attempted murder cases of Phosphorus. We then also applied for the warrant of arrest on the second attempted murder, which was issued. So there were three warrants at the end of the day. So 2 on attempted murder charges and 1 on this drug dealing case.
Athi yebo khona ke kunjalo wagcina ke boshwa ke ngelanga lange-30 zakaMeyi ngomnyaka 2020 ngemuva kokuthi bona kade wathuleke imvume yokuthi bakuthole ke bakubophe ke lapho ke mana licala leli lasethembisa ke le case 219 futhi kade khona ke warrant of arrest kade ikhishiwe lapho ke mayelana icala lakho lokuzama ukubulala ke lalapho ke Phosphorus futhi bese kwaba khona ke enye yesithathu ke lapho ke incwadi ade benayo ukuthi zini bakubopheke ngayo ke mayelana nelicala Phosphorus lokuzama ukubulala.
Thank you, Brigadier. But the crux of the matter is, on the strength of the warrant of arrest that was authorized under the drug case, the drug case, the Tembisa case, that is when then accused number 1 got arrested. Upon his arrest, then there were this allegation that the state came up with that he got interviewed firstly by Sergeant Mohula, who indicated that accused number 1 seemed to have knowledge about what happened with the death of Senzo Meyiwa, and that exposed everything which led us to this extent. So,
but akusinjalo ukuthi ngemuva kokuthi naye aboshweke ngelanga lange-30 zakaMeyi ngomnyaka 2020 boshwe icala sethembisa lokudayisa ke idakamiswa ke lapho ke kula khona waqhamuka khona kumnumzana Sergeant Mohula bese wathi umphina ke ngemibuzo ke bese ngemuva kwalokho bese wamthwesa ke icala leli aqhamuka ngalo ke la ngaphambi kwinkantolo lesikhona ke manje.
That is correct, my lord. So the Tembisa warrant of arrest was the first one to be initiated, but then the Phosphorus one followed while he was facing charges in Tembisa. It was also, those warrants were also dealt with, my lord, and he made appearances. But yes, the sparking point, or the starting point, if one can say that, was the Tembisa warrant of arrest.
Jalo ke cala uqala la kade aboshwe malana nalo ke kungemuva kokuthi bakhiphe incwadi ukuthi nakaboshwe kamaphoyisa lapho ke warrant of arrest ngesingisi ke lapho ke mayelana icala sethembisa lokudayisa ke idakamiswa ke bese ngemuva kwalokho bese wakhipha incwadi yokuqala ukuthi nakaboshwe malana icala ukuzama ukubulala ke lapho ke Phosphorus.
Thank you, Brigadier. Are you aware of the arrest of accused person, of accused number 1 by a group of police? In 20, let me just get the date very specific, Madam. May I just request a minute from that case? Thank you for the indulgence, my lord. Now, Brigadier, let's go to the beach here. Are you aware of any incident of the arrest of the accused, as now accused number 1, around March in 2019?
Athi ngabe unalo yini ulwazi ngesikhathi kade uboshwa ke umnumzana oqala nomsolo oqala nge-19
in relation to this case?
mayelana icala leli?
So I'm aware of the arrest, my lord, but it is incorrect to say it was in this case. He was arrested for Tembisa case 217 of 3 2019, and that is the docket of drug dealing. That's what he was arrested for.
athi yebo nginalo ke ulwazi lokho kepha athi lona ke kade engaboshwa ukuthi kade engaboshwa lapho mayelana necala leli kepha kade aboshwa mayelana necala sethembisa lapho ko case 217 of 2019.
And that is the case, my lord, that we picked up when we were doing the cold case analysis, that he was arrested, but they could not link him, and then the case went cold. So we went to draw that docket at the archives. He was not arrested by that team, by this team, because by the time we threw it, that matter was already dealt with. We only got a statement that directs us to accused number 1 in November 2019. Prior to that, we had no knowledge or sight on him. Once we had then the statement of Absalom Zungu making us to focus on him, cold case analysis was done. This Tembisa case was then picked up, and then we went to draw it, to draw it from the archives, investigated it, and then subsequently the warrant was done. So I know insofar as what the docket is telling me, and the charges that he was facing there was drug dealing and not this matter.
athi lapho kade engaboshiwe mayelana necala leli kepha kade aboshiwe mayelana necala lakhe lasethembisa ke lapho lodayisa ke idakamizwa ke lapho ke bese bathi kade khona kama-cold case analysis la kade khona ke futhi lapho bese ngemuva ukuthi bathole ulwazi lolu ngelanga lange-19 ngenyanga kaNovemba ngomnyaka 2019 uqhamuka ngelanga lange-17 zakaNovemba ngomnyaka 2019 ulwazi lolu kade luqhamuka kubaba kaConstable Zungu ke kulabo bona kuqala beza khona ke ukuphenya kwecala labo mayelana nomsola wokuqala ke lapho ke ngemuva ukuthi kade abatshelile mayelana nolwazi lolu kade analo ke mayelana nomsola wokuqala ke lapho ke athi futhi ujobelele wathi ufakazi kulaba basuka khona ke bayahamba baya e-archive lapho ke bakhipha ke docket lelo kade anecala mayelana nalo lapha ke Thembisa ke bese ngemuva kwalokho kulawa boshwa khona.
Sorry, case number 217 of which month?
Of 3/2019,
Of
my
3,
lord.
2019. Okay.
Correct, my lord. Tembisa.
Yeah.
Just a second, my lord, just a minute of indulgence. May I request just a minute, my lord, just to confirm this aspect, yes.
Take your time.
Thank you for the indulgence, my lord. Thank you. Brigadier. You know the reason why I'm asking whether you have knowledge about this third corp arrest Not really clerk arrest, but of the arrest in March 2019 of accused number 1. Because he is telling me that around 20, you might not remember the date so well, but it was in 2019. He was accosted by police people. He was in Tembisa. And he was accosted by a group of police. Some of them were in uniform and some of them were in private clothes. He specifically remembers amongst those who were there a certain Mr. Mudau, I don't know their ranks, a certain Mr. Mudau, a certain Mr. Baloi, and as I've said, and one other policeman who was also in uniform.
athi isizathu sokuthi akubuze ke mayelana nalo mbuzo lo kuwukuthi ke umsolo athi kade kuwumnyaka ka-2019 kepha ngenyanga kaMarch kepha ilanga akasalikhumbuli kade kuyilanga liphi-ke lapho ke la kade khona kwaboshwa amaphoyisa amaningi amaphoyisa akhona kamanye kade agqoke ingubo zabo zeziphoyisa futhi amanye egqoke ingubo zabo zasekhaya futhi ke amaphoyisa la uyakhumbula ukuthi kade khona ke iphoyisa ababesithi uMudawu noBaloyi futhi namanye nje amaphoyisa kepha amanye akawakhumbuli kahle ukuthi kade kwamaphoyisa abobani.
Yes, I'm listening, my lord.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you, Brigadier.
athi yebo ngilalele.
Yeah. Now he's telling me that when they accosted him, they were driving in a kumbi, like I think it's a Nissan kumbi, it's in Pendulo kind of a thing, but I think it's a kumbi. This guy who accosted him was driving in a kumbi.
athi amaphoyisa la amaningi ambopha-ke lapho kade beshayela ke ikhumbi noma itekisi lezi siphoyisa athi cabangi inisani noma impendulo.
I'm listening, my lord.
Thank
I'm
you.
following.
athi yebo ngilalele.
And upon his arrest, he was then taken to Clorcop.
athi ngemuva ukuthi yena bambophe-ke bamthatha bamikisa-ke eClorcop.
I think that is where the offices of these people who arrested him were, I would assume, because they were just offices, they are according to him.
athi ucabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe kula kokade khona kamahhovisi amaphoyisa kade kambophile la kade bamikise khona-ke ngoba kade khona kamagumbi ahlukene amahhovisi lapho-ke.
I'm listening, my lord.
athi yebo ngilalele.
Thank you. And then he says, upon the arrival at Clorcop, they put him in one of the unoccupied offices there. They also asked him questions in relation to the death of Senzo.
athi ngesikhathi kade lapho-ke bamfaka kwigumbi elikhethekile ama kwigumbi elithizeni lapho-ke ngesikhathi kade bemfake khona-ke kulelo gumbi lelo baqala khona-ke bamphenya noma bambuza-ke imibuzo-ke mayelana necala lakaSenzo.
I'm listening, my lord. Yes, I'm following.
athi yebo ngilalele.
Thank you. When he informed them that he knows nothing about this, they then started to assault him.
athi ngesikhathi kade aphendula amaphoyisa abatshela ukuthi nakanalo-ke ulwazi mayelana nokushona kukaSenzo amaphoyisa aqala amshaya khona lapho-ke.
I'm following, my lord.
athi yebo ngilalele.
He continued to deny any knowledge about the death of Senzo. Then the assault also continued, but when they realized that there's nothing that they would be able to extract from him, they then stopped the assault and took him to another office.
athi la kula waqhubeka khona-ke na-ke batshela ukuthi akanalo ulwazi mayelana nokushona kukaSenzo kepha-ke amaphoyisa nawo aqhubeka lapho-ke engayekile ukumshaya-ke lapho-ke futhi ngesikhathi kade amaphoyisa ebuka ukuthi akanalo ngempela-ke ulwazi noma akanayo incazelo kade atshela amaphoyisa-ke bamkhipha-ke kulelo gumbi lelo-ke bese bamletha bamikisa kulinye igumbi noma ihhovisi khona ngalapho.
I'm following, my lord.
athi yebo ngilalele.
Thank you. In this subsequent office that they took him to, there were also other individuals there who he identified as a certain Mr. Lishabane, There was also a Sibiya there. He's not so sure whether it's general or what, but he's telling me that the way in which he was being addressed, it sounded like he was a high-ranking officer. There was also a Makubo there. There was also Constable Zungu, the one who gave you the information which led you to Absalom Zungu, his father.
Athi ngesikhathi kade bemikiseke kwigumbi lesibili ke ngemuva kokuthi bemfake kwigumbi lokuqala ngemuva ukuthi bamkhiphe kwigumbi lokuqala leli kade bamfake kulona bemshayela kulona bemphina ke ngemibuzo ke lapho ke bamikisa kwigumbi lesibili ngesikhathi bekafika kwigumbi lesibili ke lapho ke kulawo bona khona amanye amaphoyisa kade akhona ke lapho ke umnumzana uLeshabane umnumzana uSibiya akathi mhlawumbe ugeneral noma kade kuye omkhulu kula amaphoyisa kade akhona ke lapho ke futhi uMakhubo futhi uConstable Zungu ke ukhumulithe indodana kaBaba Absalom Zungu ulo owanilethela ke ulwazi.
My Lord, can I then have an opportunity to comment on what has been said before we move forward? Because a lot, I won't be able to remember all these things.
Okay,
Is that fine? Yeah, I mean, can you proceed? So, my Lord, insofar as the Tembisa case 217, because I want to start there, Tembisa 217 of 3/2019, there is no statement in that docket.
Athi ke mina necala sethembisa ke leli lokudayisa ke idakamizwa ke case 217/03/2017 athi lapho ke akukho istatement esikhona ke kuthi ngaphakathi kwedocket lelo.
No.
My apologies.
Yeah, wait. So there is no statement that implicates or suggests that accused number 1 was questioned about this case. In other words, or that he was arrested for the matter before court and that he was then taken through interrogation or interviews insofar as that docket is concerned. There's no such statement, my Lord.
Ngiyaxolisa ke lapho ke nesilungiso sikhona ke athi mina nacala sethembisa lapho ke akukho la babhalile khona ke mhlawumbe babhale statement khona ke wathi umisolo oqala unesandla lecala leli esingalo ngaphambi kwenkantolo.
What is contained in that docket, my Lord, from the beginning, from A1 right up to the end, is the issues relating to drugs, and up to the time that the case went cold, we came on the picture. The case was reopened. It went through the trial process with. I don't mean to defame the accused, but he was convicted for those charges and not the matter relating to this matter. For the charges, when I say those charges, I'm referring to the charges of possession of drugs and ammunition. That is the conviction or announcement that was announced by the court, my Lord, in Tembisa.
Athi lapho ke ngemuva icala likade beliyekile kuphela ke nje kepha ngemuva ukuthi bona ke bafike lapho ke baphinda futhi balivusa icala lelo ke ngemuva ukuthi balivuse icala bese wahamba waqhamuka phambi kwenkantolo balixoxa icala lakhe ke lapho ke bese inkosi enkantolo mtholiseni icala bese wagwetshwa ke lapho ke malana nokudayisa ke idakamiso nokuthi noma bamthole ephethe idakamiso futhi ethule ke ephethe ke amabullet.
Now, relating to this matter specifically, my Lord, because in March, I was already assigned to lead this investigation in March 2019. At no stage, myself or any of my team members informed me that there was such information in Tembisa, because if there was such pursuance, it would have been important for me to know as I'm carrying the docket. You know, we followed a lot of information on this docket, which turned out not to be true at times or inaccurate, but you followed it once it's brought to you. So at no stage was I informed that accused 1 in particular was a suspect in this matter. The only time, and really the only time where his name came up was with the Zungus, both the junior and the senior. That is really what made me focus, or made us focus on accused number 1, my Lord. And that's the essence of what led me to it, not the March story. I'm not aware of it, my Lord.
Athi ke ufakaza khayena akanaloko ulwazi ukuthi ngabe yini eyenzeka ngenyanga kaMarch ngomnyaka ka2019 ngoba ke lapho akukho umuntu waqhamuka kuyena ke leqembu lakhe kwafika kwamtshela mina nolwazi kade ke analoko mayelana icala leli ke lapho ke kepha ke na ulwazi oqala ke ulwazi loqala alaqhamuka kuyena ke lwaqhamuka ngoZungu ingane kaBaba uAbsalom Zungu ke ngesikhathi kade ahlezi nabo phansi bobabili lapho ke ngesikhathi kade bekhuluma mayelana negama la kaMsola uqala.
We can then proceed, my Lord, I think, yeah, and then.
Thank you. Then he further says that upon being questioned again about his knowledge about the death of Senzo, now in the presence of Lishabane, Sibiya, Makubu, and Zungu. His response being the fact that he knows nothing. That is when then Makubo suggested that he should rather be released because it is clear that he does not seem to have knowledge or he does not seem to have been involved in the commission of, in the death of Senzo.
Athi-ke lapho-ke ngesikhathi kade akhulumisana nomnumzana ulishabane umnumzana uSibiya futhi kade athi mhlawumbe ugeneral noma kade kuye kade nesikhundla esiphezulu kunesikhundla salamanye amaphoyisa kade akhona-ke lapho-ke uMakhubo noZungu-ke athi yena wabatshela ukuthi akanalo ulwazi ngokushona kukaSenzo-ke lapho-ke bese umnumzana uMakhubo wathi kumele bamdedele ngoba lo muntu lo uyatshengakala ukuthi cha ngempeleni akanalo ulwazi.
My Lord, look, I was not obviously in that meeting, so if it did take place, even to begin with, I won't be able to comment. But what I can say and comment on, my Lord, is insofar as Tembisa case 217 of 3/2019, because it is clearly indicated there that he was arrested for the case of dealing in drugs. The reason of him not being pursued further is because the matter was withdrawn due to the absence of the 212 statement for the authentication of the drugs. Those are the reasons that are contained in that docket. That's the first part.
Athi-ke kwiphuzu lokuqala angathanda ukuthi akhulume nodaba lwakhona-ke uma ngaba lo mhlangano kade bewuhlelile noma uma ngaba lo mhlangano kade ukhona empeleni akanalo ulwazi lomhlangano loyo-ke ngoba kade engekho kulo mhlangano loyo-ke kepha athi mana icala sekuthembisa lelo ukuthi waboshwa-ke eboshelwa udayisa idakamizwa noma utholakala inedakamizwa kuyena-ke yilona icala angaze akhulume ngalo-ke lapho-ke ngoba icala kade bengaqhubekile nalo kade belimisile ngoba kade bengenawo ama-statement kade kumele ukuthi bawathole ama-212 statement.
Secondly, my Lord, there is no statement in that docket of Warrant Officer Makubo forming part of that investigation or interview at any stage, from the initial stage up to the time